Hello, moviegoers, and welcome to another edition of Have You Seen It? I'm your host, Denise, and before I jump into my review this week, I'm going to tell you who my favorite actor is this week. My favorite actor is the talented double Academy Award winner, Mahershala Ali. And a few of my favorite Mahershala Ali movies are Moonlight, The Green Book, Swan Song. So he is my favorite actor this week. All right, I'm going to jump into this review. And my review this week is The Accountant 2. Okay, stars Ben Affleck as Christian Wolf, John Bernthal as his brother Braxton, Cynthia, Ade, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Robinson, and she plays Mary Beth Medina. J.K. Simmons is Ben King in a smaller role this time around, and Daniela Pineda as Anise and Robert Morgan. Okay. Stick with me with this one because I had to really focus while watching this movie. We've got a running time of 2 hours and change with this one. Thank goodness. Any longer and I would have been clock watching. So we start the movie with our character Ben King, who has retired from his job as Treasury Director. And what he's doing now is just a little freelance work where the cases that he takes are very important to him, somewhat of a personal level. So when we see him at the beginning of the film, he is in a bar waiting for someone to meet him. And that someone is a young woman who we, at this point, don't know who she is or really what her name is. But as you see her walking through the streets of the city to get to the bar to meet him, there are bad guys who are strategically placed in and around this bar, and they are heavily armed, and their mission is to kill someone. All right. So once the two meet, Anise and Ben meet in the bar and they have a conversation. He shows her, they just talk about what he's working on and what he's trying to accomplish. And so at some point, all hell breaks loose. And as she exits the bar, you've got patrons running and screaming about because the bad guys now see that, their target is on the move. And so you've got gunfire and you've got patrons running for their lives, screaming. Ben seeks refuge in a men's room and shooting and screaming and yelling and so forth. Chaos follows him there as well. He is in that bathroom, and as the bad guys come in, they're scuffling about and there's fighting and so forth and shooting. And at some point, he is able to escape, but he eventually meets his demise. And so that's why his part in the movie this time around is small. Once it is determined that he has passed away, this is where Medina re-enters the movie and pursues, the investigation. She takes it over because when Ben is at the morgue, she finds some information. So I'll leave that there. I won't tell you what it is, but she finds some information. And basically that information is enough for her to now seek out Christian Wolf, who is going to help her solve this puzzle of chaos and mystery and murder. And in doing so, because he is so intellectually gifted, he is receiving information from an AI generated voice from a non-verbal individual who is at the Neuroscience Academy, where young Christian Wolf was taken as a young child to, help him with, all of his intellectual capabilities and so forth. So this is how he is getting information to help Medina with this case. But of course, because there are so many bad guys in this movie, he needs assistance. And that is when he seeks out the assistance of his brother Braxton, who, when the two get together, they have good chemistry for brothers who haven't seen each other in a while. But Braxton clearly understands why he is there to help Christian and Medina. And that is to kill people, beat people up, shoot people, stab people, break bones, and so forth at will. And so as the movie, goes on, it gets a little confusing to me because there are so many bad guys. I'm thinking the story is about one thing, but then you have some other individuals who enter the movie and they have their own, they come with their own baggage. So we've got human trafficking going on, but we also have this mysterious woman who was able to escape the initial carnage at the bar, who is still out there causing havoc on her own. So the chemistry between Christian, Braxton, and Medina is pretty good. I'll give the movie that. But the storyline, just for me, was just kind of all over the place at times. And of course, if you've seen the first installment of The Accountant and you understand what Christian does in terms of violence, that is still evident in this movie and very unconventional. And so there you have it. Now, the ending is very good in terms of, once you figure out who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, what they're doing, how this photograph, so keep that in mind, how a photograph ties everything together in terms of the mysterious woman, in terms of the human trafficking, it may make sense to you. So that is my review this week, The Accountant 2. Now, disclaimer here, I had not seen the first installment of The Accountant, and I was advised to check it out before seeing part 2. I'm glad I did, because at least in terms of the characters, their development, their evolution, I was able to follow along in that regard. So if you are a fan of the first installment of The Accountant, you can go check out Accountant 2. I give it about a good 7. Okay. All right. So there you have it, folks. Now I'm going to jump into my Nailed It. And my Nailed It for this week is an old movie that I saw many, many, many years ago. The name of the movie is Blackboard Jungle. But this particular scene, it's one of those stories where, you have a teacher who is just kind of bullied and punked around by his students and just doesn't know how to deal with them. Well, this particular scene takes place in the alleyway between two teachers who are leaving work, and they're just kind of talking about the job and why these kids are just so out of control and so forth and so on. Well, they get jumped in the alley. They get beat down pretty badly. And it made me think, okay, this movie was done in the 60s and, it was kind of out there in terms of how kids behave in the classroom. But then it made me think about 2025 and how some kids behave now in the classroom and how the two aren't so different. So that is my Nailed It, Blackboard Jungle. And that stars Glenn Ford and a young Sidney Poitier. All right, folks, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And remember, we are available on BlueSky at HYSI. Okay, moviegoers, you know what to do. Until next week, I need you to see a movie because I'm going to see a movie. Until next week, bye-bye.